Sure, if you're going to be talking about what happened late last night, about 9 o'clock Eastern time, that's when the president went to Iowa to give which seems to me to be back to campaign mode, to explain what he's doing, what the special elections have meant, and what he plans on doing. He even made some news last night.
He did.
There was a lot of talk about winning, that's for sure.
So really, it was kind of a victory lap, and we're going to talk a little bit about those young women behind him taking selfies and chewing gum. It was his 5th rally in 5 months. Do you think it's a good idea? You do, and we're going to share some of your comments in a moment. But first, let's play. Here's the president talking a little bit about what he's got next on the agenda.
I think healthcare is going to happen, and infrastructure is going to happen. You're going to have a lot of exciting things over the next few months, and I look forward to being able to produce it. Let's see what happens. If we had even a little Democrat support, just a little, like a couple of votes, you'd have everything. But again, they just want to stop. They just want to obstruct. And their plan isn't working because they thought they were going to win last night in Atlanta. And they've been unbelievably nasty, really nasty. And they thought they spent close to $30 million on this kid who forgot to live in the community that he was in. I mean, you know. I am making it a little bit hard to get their support, but who cares? And if Karen Handel had lost, they would have blamed it on me, which is fine. But if she had lost, they would have been there for weeks talking about this. This would have been the greatest defeat in the history of American politics. When she won, when they said, projected winner is Karen Handel, then they said, we switch to another program, right? So it was so short. They couldn't get out of there fast enough. This happened in Montana, right? In Kansas. Last night, South Carolina, with Ralph, who was expected to win and he won. California. So, but it's been incredible. So we're 5-0. We're 5-0,
And it means a lot. It meant a lot to those people. It also means a lot to Republicans who thought to themselves, I have to stay away from the president. You know, he's in all these, he has all these problems with these Democrats. We could lose the House if we do. We have to run from health care. It's too controversial. Instead, you have win, win, win. And the margins were not as big as in the past, but they're all victories. So they could say, hey, I could go follow this president and not have political suicide. I can get aboard tax reform, infrastructure, as well as health care.
It reminds you why the president tweets and why he holds rallies like this, even as president, because he feels he doesn't get his message out. The media doesn't get his message out. He goes and takes it straight to the people. He also took his message last night straight to the people on immigration and talking about the wall and making a little news. Listen.
I believe the time has come for new immigration rules which say that those seeking admission into our country must be able to support themselves financially and should not use welfare for a period of at least 5 years. And yes, we will build the wall. We've already started planning. It will be built. I'm a builder. That's what I love to do. That's probably what I do best. I'm a builder. And we're thinking of something that's unique. We're talking about the southern border. Lots of sun, lots of heat. We're thinking about building the wall as a solar wall, so it creates energy and pays for itself. And this way, Mexico will have to pay much less money, and that's good.
There you go. And we actually had a guy on about 2 weeks ago who was talking about the solar wall and how it's a private industry public facility that they're talking about. And so there is on the books this blueprint for it. Are they going to go that way? It would be really cool.
It would cut down on Mexico's cost to build that wall, as you heard the president point out.
Meanwhile, if you were watching the president, you know what? If you were driving in your car and you were listening on the radio to the president, you missed quite a show behind him because there were 3 young Trump supporters. Screen left, there's a young woman who, on National Selfie Day, took a number of selfies of herself. There's a woman behind the president wearing a Hawkeyes cap right there. And then there's the girl in the Make America Great red cap who chewed gum during much of his
The whole time.
performance.
The whole time. So if you were watching, it was probably a little distracting. I don't know. Maybe not, Brian Kilmeade.
Yeah, Jonathan writes us and says the Trump girls chew gum instead of rioting and vandalizing. That is the difference. Greg says...
Female Trump supporter in red hat at Iowa rally. Breaking news, caught chewing gum on camera. MSM wants to investigate for Russian collusion.
And Stephen tweeted, she is supporting our president and is young. I'm with her.
Meanwhile, yesterday there was something going on Capitol Hill earlier in the day, and that was a call up from the former Homeland Security Secretary, Jeh Johnson, to come explain when he knew about the alleged Russian hacking into our elections and why wasn't more done about it. And a lot of this was Jeh Johnson never looked composed or more arrested, by the way. It goes show you what Homeland does in terms of wearing on you. But when he was asked a few times, you knew about this in the summer, when you went up in July to the DNC and said your software's been hacked, they would not turn over the server to him, which he said he still doesn't understand why they wouldn't. Debbie Wasserman Schultz denied that was even requested, but Trey Gowdy speculated could there have been something else on that server Homeland Security Homeland Security wasn't allowed to see? Possibly. When Jeh Johnson was asked, though, about Russian affecting the election, here was his answer.
Is that still your opinion that, with respect to the 2016 election, that the intrusions or attempted, whatever it is the Russians or others did not affect the actual voting itself?
Based on everything I know, that is correct. I know of no evidence that through cyber intrusions, votes were altered or suppressed in some way.
See, and that's really critical. Not a single vote was changed. He did say that when he was the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, the administration was reluctant to tell the country about what had happened, but they did, in fact, talk about it. And they made a press availability, and they talked about it, but it didn't get much attention because it was on the same day the Access Hollywood video came out. And so everybody was talking about that, not talking about this.
Go ahead.
I just don't understand why they didn't bring it out over the summer. Why did they even wait until October? They brought up and they said, well, we didn't want to put our foot on the scale because one of the candidates talked about this whole thing being rigged and fixed, and we thought if we came out and said there's already been some problems, it would have played into that. So we kept our mouth shut. But it doesn't talk about why you didn't come out over the summer and just tell everybody.
Well, because then people would go, well, you're running the government. Why aren't you stopping it?
Yeah.
There's got to be a way for the Department of Homeland Security to stop this kind of thing. If you know that it's going on, why don't you turn it off?
So last night on Hannity, Kellyanne Conway said something about the media and Democrats. I wonder if this one will stick. The Russian concussion.
Ouch.
During the campaign, I used to say that there's this total disconnect between what Americans are telling us is important to them and what they're being told is important to them. And I see it again now that he's president. The media and the Democrats have this Russian concussion, and they've lost, like, the muscle memory to be able to function in any other way to talk about anything he's doing. But that doesn't mean that people don't see it.
The Russian concussion.
I got a chuckle out of that.
I really think we've turned the page. When you have these other Democrats and anti-Trumpers saying, well, we all know there's no collusion, nothing's been found, it's been a 7-month investigation, you cannot lead a show with collusion because you just have nothing to go with. It's not the Sci-Fi Channel. It's going to pressure people to actually do real shows.
You know what? You may be right, you may be wrong, though, because last night when we were actually carrying the president live during the Make America Great Again rally, we carried it, Fox Business carried it, the other channels carried other stuff and talked a lot about Russian collusion.
All right, we've got a Fox News alert. Let's get to Jillian.
That's right. Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's get you caught up on this Fox News alert right now. At any moment, ISIS could attack. The brutal terror group calling for a surge of violence during Islam's holiest day. This as the feds investigate an act of terror on American soil at an airport in Flint, Michigan. Authorities say Amor Fatoui shouted Allah Akbar before ambushing an officer from behind, repeatedly stabbing him in the neck with a 12-inch hunting knife. Lieutenant Jeff Novell in serious but stable condition at this hour. Authorities raiding Fatoui's apartment in Quebec, taking 3 people into custody for questioning. Fatoui now behind bars. He holds dual citizenship for Tunisia and Canada. Turning now to extreme weather. Tropical Storm Cindy making landfall in Louisiana this morning, slamming the Gulf Coast with millions of Americans in its path. Life-threatening flooding now threatening the south with isolated amounts of 15 inches of rain expected to dump across the states. The eye of the storm is expected to move into Arkansas tomorrow. We just learned 600 buildings in England could be coated with that same material as on the London high-rise, where 79 people were killed in a fast-moving fire. In just hours, thousands of families will be informed if their apartments are safe or not. So far, 3 already testing positive, forcing hundreds out of their homes. And today, Senate Republicans will unveil their plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. After a secret legislative process, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will roll out a draft discussion to his members this morning. Sources tell Fox the reason for the secrecy is because the bill will be substantially different than the House version. Now, this comes as the nation's second largest health insurer, Anthem, just ended its agreement in Indiana and Wisconsin for next year. Anthem says it can't manage the cost of sick patients signing up for Obamacare. So look at your headlines this morning. Definitely a talker today.
Yeah, of course, the Republican plan leaked out to the Washington Post. And a lot of the details are there, and now it's going to have a week of debate, which is fine.
Leaked out to the Post because apparently the leadership had given it to some lobbyists to take a look at, and they leaked it to the Post.
Right. Thanks, Jillian.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, ISIS telling its fighters murder innocent people right now. So can we expect a terror attack on American soil? That's next.
And after we got our DNA tested and found out about our heritage, there's Janice swabbing her mouth. We inspired one woman who's watching to do the same, and she wound up meeting a person she'd been searching for her entire life, her mother.
I have goosebumps.
No kidding, you will too. Stay tuned. Fox and Friends, live from New York.
All right, some quick headlines this morning. A French fitness blogger dies from a heart attack after a defective whipped cream dispenser explodes. It struck her chest. Rebecca Berger's family shared the photo of this dispenser on social media. The 33-year-old model was at her French home during the tragic incident.
She had a heart attack after that.
Unbelievable. And outrage after a convicted child molester is freed from jail and moves next door to his victim. Harold English went to prison more than a decade ago for sexually abusing his stepniece. Now he's living with his mother, whose property is only 100 yards away from his victims. She's reportedly says she never wants to go home since he is so close by. And a bombshell report about the Bill Cosby sex assault trial. One juror telling ABC the comedian wasn't found guilty because 2 of the 12 jurors fought for his innocence. After 52 hours of deliberations, the judge declared a mistrial.
10 of them thought he was guilty. Meanwhile, yesterday, our own Janice Dean found out more about her family roots with the help of MyHeritage. And this morning, we're sharing the amazing story of one loyal Fox and Friends viewer who was so inspired by our discoveries that she was able to find somebody she'd been searching for her whole life.
I'm watching Steve and Ainsley and Brian like every morning, and I watch their joy. I watch them, you talk to them about things, but I didn't realize, I had a DNA test done many years ago, and I didn't realize that you could actually be hooked up with matches. So as soon as I saw that, I mean, while I was watching Fox and Friends, I was on the computer and, you know, getting my DNA test ordered.
Wow, her incredible story is here with her incredible story is contributed with MyHeritage and author of Something Beautiful Happened, Yvette Corporon. Yvette, can you believe this happened?
You know what? I can believe it happened because it happens every day. People go on to myheritage.com, they sign up, they buy these DNA tests, and they swab themselves, and instantly they're matched with relatives around the world. It's a global database of people. And people like Sue, who've been searching for their biological families, finally have those answers they've been seeking.
I didn't realize it can actually find family members.
It can. You know, we've had so much fun looking into everyone's ethnicity, and everyone loves doing that. It's so fun to see where you're from. But there are many layers to this and the work that MyHeritage is doing, because people are looking for answers. They're trying to find biological family, and it automatically connects you to this global network.
Right. So, and how did this whole come together?
So this all came together because Sue was home watching us that morning as we dove into your backgrounds.
Right.
And that morning watching this show, as she does every morning, she's watching right now. Hi, Sue. It changed her life. I think we actually have some more audio from Sue.
All right, let's listen.
It was Mother's Day. So I said, well, I'll check my emails. And there was an email from MyHeritage, and said, here are your DNA results. And then it said, and you have 41 DNA matches. So I said, okay, I'm going to copy and paste an email to 8 of them. I'm going to start out with 8. The first one answered me and said, oh, yeah, well, you know, my Aunt Mary had 4 children that you're describing. So I went outside and I called my uncle, who turned out to be my Uncle Stan. Oh, yeah. I said, she's still alive? And he said, oh, yeah. She's in a nursing home. Here's her number. So I called her. So within 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half of getting the DNA results, I was talking to her.
A connection almost immediately.
And not only was Sue talking to her, but she actually went upstate New York to go visit her mother. And I was there with her that weekend. We have video of the emotional reunion right there. Oh. When I sat down and spoke to Sue, she cried the entire time. She had been searching for answers, and she did a DNA test years ago, and she thought that it was hopeless. She was searching. She tried bribing people. She called every name in the phone book. This woman searched for years, and finally she thought it was hopeless.
It's unbelievable. It sounds like it was so easy, because this was a cousin who said, oh, yeah.
Well, it's easy now because the technology has changed so much. And again, watching you guys inspired her to get online, and she found her mother, and she found those answers.
And they stay in touch today?
They stay in touch today. This was actually, I just went upstate and I met her with her mom. This happened just last weekend. She sat down with me and she cried the entire time. And she actually had a very special message for you guys because she credits you and she considers you her family. She watches every morning and she credits you with helping her find her mom. I think we actually have a thank you.
Let's watch that.
This is to all my friends at Fox and Friends, and I feel like you are my friends. I've been watching you. I probably see more of you during the week than I do the rest of my family. Thank you so much for having this segment with Yvette on MyHeritage, and I'm happy for what you people have found out, and I'm thrilled with everything that I've found out.
Another suggestion with this DNA is add Kleenex.
Yes.
So for somebody who might also be interested, based on what they just saw, how do you do this? How do you get started?
Okay, actually, we're making it very easy, especially for Fox Friends. MyHeritage wants to help everyone find their family story and make those connections. So there's a special discount, a special coupon code for all Fox Friends. Go on to MyHeritage DNA, you put in the coupon code FOX, and you will have a discounted kit as well as free shipping.
So not only, we found out what our heritage was, and, you know, as we have discussed, I thought I was half Irish. As it turns out, I'm 19% Irish.
Plenty of surprises.
And I'm extremely Scandinavian-ish.
Yes.
So in addition to that, it can link you up with people who are in your family. It doesn't necessarily say this is your mother, this is your
aunt. What it does, I mean, there are many layers to this. Every family has a story, and everyone is looking for some type of answers, whether it's your ethnicity or your biological family that you've been searching for. There's an answer for everyone inside this kit. And for me, it was looking for the family that my grandmother hid from the Nazis.
And you found.
And we found them with the help of MyHeritage.
I'd love to hear all the stories from the Fox and Friends folks that find their family.
Send them on. Well, that's what Sue did. Sue actually posted, Steve, after watching us and finding her. By the way, she found her mother on Mother's Day. And then she posted a note on your Facebook page, and that's what led her. That's what led us to her.
Wow.
Yep.
And now they see each other all the time?
From yesterday, when we got the results, I had like a dozen people contact me saying, how do I do this?
Keep them coming. There you go. That's the message she wrote on your Facebook page.
If you have a story, post it on the Fox and Friends Facebook, and we will take a look at it.
And thank you to Sue for sharing her story.
Thank you, Sue. And she wrote to me yesterday after watching you, and she said, thank you again, and she feels after years of searching, she is finally at peace.
Wow. Connections, I love it.
It's gonna hurt the psychic industry, but it's helping because we're in the fact-based business.
We're finding answers.
All right.
Sue, thank you very much for those very kind words about Fox and Friends. You are our friends, as everybody is.
She's lovely.
All right.
All right, well, coming up, days after Steve Scalise was shot, another congressman releasing these threatening voicemails to his office.
We're gonna hook your down, wrap her up around your neck, and hang you from a lamppost.
And Congressman Jason Chaffetz says nothing was done about it.
Wow. Plus, a college professor goes unhinged, calling for the destruction of white people. How does he still have a job at Trinity College? Lawrence Jones from The Blaze gives us his take on that. At least he promised to.
How are you doing?
Nice to see you. How's it going?
Hi, how you doing? Good morning. Good to see you.
Want to do one of these?
We are family.
of your interesting takes, the way you speak from the heart and you speak from experience. And we just wanted to tackle you. I know you work for The Blaze predominantly, but you're all over our channel. We wanted to bring you in just to get your take on where the Democrats go from here, because they thought with Donald Trump, they believed they would drilling down his approval ratings. And they said, well, now we're going to get him in the special elections. And they're 0 for 4. And their money's down, the fundraising's down, the predictions are off, the polls are not their way. They're going after their leadership. What are they doing wrong?
They're focused on emotion. And the American people are broke. And their kids are suffering in the education system. The healthcare markets are out of control. And the Democratic Party cannot focus on the facts. They can't focus on the economy. And so they have traditionally focused on the motion, and it worked, calling people racist, xenophobic, sexist. But when people are struggling, they don't want to hear that. They want their lives to be better.
But it's not working, that message. They see that it's not working with these election results, but yet you still don't see them changing their message or their rhetoric.
Well, they've made Donald Trump the target, and because they think he's unlikable, they think that they could have this resistance in Russia, and they can scare the hell out of Americans.
It's resistance summer.
Exactly. But if they could scare the hell out of Americans and get them to believe that Donald Trump is a double agent for Russia, then they felt like they would be successful. The thing is, it's absurd, and the American people know it after Comey said, well, he was never under investigation.
Right, and that's all Donald Trump just wanted somebody to say on the record. Now, what makes your perspective unique is the fact that you voted for Barack Obama back in 2008. You were a young guy. You thought this guy's going to change everything. Did not. For the most part, during the Obama administration, Nancy Pelosi was his partner up on Capitol Hill. A lot of Democrats are saying we need a better message and we need new leadership because she is not working out.
Well, that's true, but they're scared of Nancy Pelosi. She has all the money. She holds a lot of weight. And until the Democratic Party gets young leadership, they won't be effective. They're trying the same old tricks, and the American people are sick of it. Nancy Pelosi, as well as Barack Obama, need to bring their party in and say, we got to start focusing on jobs and the economy. And until they do that, they won't be successful.
All right, let's talk about Trinity College.
And this college professor, Johnny Eric Williams, an associate professor of sociology, if you haven't seen this yet, he posted this: "It is past time for the racially oppressed to do what people who believe themselves to be white will not do. Put end to the vectors of their destructive mythology of whiteness and their white supremacy system. Hashtag let them effing die. The time is now to confront these inhuman blank and end this now." Tough to even read through such a vulgar message. What's going on here?
Well, Sandra, the political rhetoric is going too far right now.
Trinity.
Yeah. And I'm a libertarian. I believe in free speech. But we have an attack on conservatism, on Republicans. And until we call it out, I know a lot of people disagree with me, but when this shooter targeted the congressman, he said, are they Republicans or are they Democrats? So when people keep telling me, don't make this about politics, you're politicizing it, I say, you know what? He made it about politics when he asked, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? And it's clear from the college campuses all the way to conservatives and media, we're being targeted.
This particular fella did wind up apologizing. However, because there were so many threats into Trinity, they had to close the campus yesterday. It might be open today.
Yeah, I don't believe in the apology. That's in your heart.
That's just, what are you saying, just to get out of jail?
Yeah, you're just trying to keep your job. I think these people should be punished. I mean, it's going too far. They're beheading the president.
What? You want him fired?
Yes, I want him fired. I mean, that's a threat. I mean, I'm all for free speech, but when you incite violence, then you're crossing the line. And it's time for law enforcement to step up their game, take the handcuffs off the law enforcement, and let them prosecute these people.
I think that things might change for Democrats. They see that they have no message. You have people like Cher coming out and saying they have no message. Congressman Ryan coming out and saying we have no message. I think they might understand that even though the numbers look strong for the economy, if people aren't feeling it and you're not responding to it, they cannot get out of the starting box.
Well, this goes back to losing. How long do they want to lose? Either they're going to wise up or they're going to lose the next election. I predict that they're setting the stage for Donald Trump's re-election right now. If they continue this Russia stuff, they don't know what they're doing right now, but they're getting ready to set the stage. If they keep making it about Russia, when the American people keep screaming, we want our jobs. We want you to put America first. We're tired of the illegal immigration, and Donald Trump is improving that. We got a conservative Supreme Court justice. If they don't listen to the American people won't listen to them.
So you're saying there is somebody who wants to keep Nancy Pelosi? That's the Republicans.
That's exactly right. Stay there.
Lawrence, good to see you.
Good to have you this morning.
All right, time for some news.
Jillian.
Good morning, guys. Good morning to you at home as well. Let's get you caught up on what you need to know. Just days after Congressman Steve Scalise was shot, Jason Chaffetz is now saying he was targeted. The Utah congressman releasing these threatening voicemails to his office. Take a look.
Hey, Jason Chaffetz, I suggest you prepare for the battle, motherfucker, and the apocalypse, because we're going to hunt your down, wrap a rubber around your neck, and hang you from a lamppost.
That is scary stuff. And this, as we learn new details about the congressional baseball shooter, James Hodgkinson. FBI agents revealing they found a second laptop, more than 200 rounds of ammunition and rifle parts, all in a storage unit he rented outside D.C. One of his victims, as we mentioned, Congressman Steve Scalise, now upgraded to fair condition. Congressman Chaffetz joins us live in the 8 o'clock hour to discuss how we can protect politicians. Make sure you stay tuned for that. More than a quarter of illegal immigrant minors in federal custody have ties to criminal gangs. The Office of Refugee Resettlement revealing its findings after surveying unaccompanied children in their facilities. The Trump administration has vowed to take down gangs like MS-13. Many members come from Central America, and we saw firsthand how they terrorize communities when Brian went for a ride-along with police in Suffolk County, New York. A Florida sheriff is sending out a call to arms, encouraging people to be prepared before becoming a victim.
If you're not afraid of a gun, get one. And if you need to shoot somebody, shoot them a lot.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says if a gun is not your thing, consider another kind of weapon like pepper spray or a taser. So look at your headlines, some pretty tough words there, but
another weapon.
Having the conversation.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Jillian.
Yep.
All right, coming up straight ahead, we talk politics. The Democrats just keep losing elections. Why a former Clinton strategist says that's not good for the future of their party. I guess losing doesn't help.